Welcome back to another episode of Let's Chat Podcast, y'all. I am your host, JoJo.
And I'm Daira.
Ooh. It was a Daira.
Okay, so I started off like that because we had a Patreon call, and somebody, I'm gonna say her name, Destiny, was like, "Why do you say your name like that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She said, "Daira. I know your name is Daira." And I'm like, that's a good point. I'm gonna start saying Daira.
Do what you do, baby. It's your name. It's your world. We just living in it.
My whole family calls me Daira, but in the world, I just go by Daira. But I'm cool with whatever. I got my Moo shirt on. My Moo.
Right? What are you saying?
You know what I meant.
I love it though. It's cute.
You know what I meant. Yeah. My cow shirt.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought you did it on purpose. I didn't know you were literally trying to say cow.
I didn't know the animal. I was just thinking about Doja Cat.
She said like, my Moo shirt.
Yeah, some girl really tried to tell me that I look like her once. And I was like, is that a compliment or is that a diss?
Yeah, I don't know.
Doja Cat?
I don't see it.
She's popping, pero ahora she don't got no eyebrows. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know, but like I'm feeling real Rico Suave here. I'm ready for vacation. Meanwhile, the weather ain't break yet. Y'all, she about to leave me for so many vacations. Like she's living her best life.
So many.
She about to go to Puerto Rico. Then we're taking one trip together thus far. But yeah, she about to go to Puerto Rico. Where else you was going, babe?
I'm about to go see my family. That's it.
No, it was something else. Anyway, I'm about to hide in her backpack looking just like this.
She got my Desi shades on.
Yeah, I fuck with these. She might not get these back. These about to be my summer babies.
You crazy as hell.
These about to be my summer boys.
Nope.
Wow, you see? Sharing isn't caring. I will let you use my Ray-Ban. Anyway. What's popping, y'all? You got any juice thus far this week for the fam?
I don't got nothing crazy to talk about, but... So if you guys listen to the episode where we were on We Still Like Each Other's podcast, we talked about a lot of different topics, but Stephanie brought up this show on Hulu called Planet Sex. We were like, yo, like this show is dope. Like I'm surprised more people aren't talking about it. So I wanted to talk about certain things that we learned that I thought were interesting. So this episode is going to be a little bit all over the place, but that's fine. All right. So, quick question.
Y'all.
Have you ever told anybody to
all the time
suck my dick?
Babe, watch your mouth. SMD. People know what SMD means.
Yeah.
I hope. Potentially. Anyway, yes. All the time.
Yeah.
With so much emphasis.
Really?
Yeah. Like really SMD. You know? Mad hard. Because I meant it. I said it and I meant it.
All right. Well, the reason why I asked that is because something that they talk about in the show is basically how like society has made it so normal for people to feel so comfortable to talk about penises. And like if you notice, like people think it's funny to draw like pictures of dicks. Like it's like they'll draw like in high school, people would draw it on like the desk. They'll draw it in the bathrooms. They'll use like fucking permanent marker and just draw it in random places. And they thought it was funny. But like, have you ever seen somebody try to draw a picture of a clitoris or like a vagina?
No, I don't even think females would go out of their way to draw a vagina.
No.
Like that would be considered weird. Like what is that? Ew. And honestly, I think that that's because vaginas are criticized more than penises are. Like, you would think that, and now that I think about it, that's crazy. You would really think that, like, all penises look the same, right? Like, obviously, until you actually see penises. But, like, throughout high school and stuff, I don't know what word I was finna say. But, like, you see people draw it. You see, like, they idolize it. And, like, it's just this perfect thing. But it's not. Penises are just as ugly. Like, it's not just, and, like, guys... or just like society in general made it seem like vaginas are just like ugly or like not appropriate and like the fuck.
Right. So I feel like it's just a society thing. Like I feel like for so many years, it's just been normalized for people to talk about penises, draw penises, but they don't really ever talk about the clitoris. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why a lot of men don't know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like TikTok videos that I've seen go around where they'll ask them, they'll show a picture and they'll ask men on the street, can you show me where the clitoris is?
Mm-hmm. I've
And
seen that.
you know what they pointed at?
Usually the inside, the opening of your vagina.
They would point at like the urethra where like we
Mm-hmm.
pee from. So they're confused.
Mm-hmm.
They're lost all over. Um so basically I did some research and I wanted to share it with you guys. But basically the clit is basically like a small penis. So when you do say SMD,
You mean it because
right,
you
like
kind of got
it's
a little pee pee.
yeah, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
I come correct. So I learned that the clitoris is about 4 inches long
Mm-hmm.
in total, and the little button that we see is called the glans, and it's about 1 to 2 centimeters long.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say that shit and guys be like, fuck out of here, let them know, like, I really do have one though. Like,
Yeah.
low key.
Yeah.
Like, Google it.
Google me,
Because
baby.
Google is free.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because they low key be like, you ain't got one. You ain't got one. Like,
No, but I do.
you don't even know what I got because you don't even know where to find the spot.
Right.
What's up? Let's talk about it.
Just
But
doing the
yeah,
wrong
that
thing, bro.
we found out through Planet Sex, which
Yeah.
again, if you guys have not watched it or would like to watch it, it's on Hulu. And Cara Delevingne is actually the
Like the host.
and she's like traveling all around the world and she gets into sexualities, all types of like, you know, sex, porn,
Yeah.
all types of orientations and how it is around the world and, you know, how everybody has grown from it or how society is trying to grow from it.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty cool. I
Um,
wish I could travel the world and do that for a living.
right. And then another thing that she kind of like went into is like orgasms and pretty much like the science behind that. And like she was like sitting down and they put like a device in her where she was watching porn and they kind of basically just saw like her levels of like how aroused she was when she saw gay porn and like straight porn, and they even put like
Animal porn.
animal porn. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it was
okay,
like
that's a
all
little
different types of things.
much. That's a little
Yeah.
much. But some facts that I found myself was that 81% of women don't orgasm from intercourse alone without additional clit stimulation, which is crazy. Because I feel like there's obviously a lot of straight women out there, and that's what they're having, intercourse with men. And then it also said that 86% of okay, let me start over.
What?
86 of homosexual women just usually or always orgasm during partnered sexual activity compared to just 66% of bisexual women and 65% of heterosexual women. So the gays are just having more orgasms, 86% of them, and the straights, 65% of them are having orgasms. They are.
Okay.
And then the last fact that I found was 59% of women have faked an orgasm.
That's a lot. 59% are faking orgasms, but in the same breath, 65% of heterosexual women are orgasming. It's not making sense.
No sé. Have you ever faked one?
I mean, yeah. I think we've all faked one at
To
one
who?
point. Oh, girl. That's not here. But
Okay.
no worries. No worries. You're okay in my book. Yeah, solid. I don't know. I mean, it's happened. I think especially in the beginning stages of your sexual journey, where you kind of don't even know what it's supposed to feel like or what you're supposed to be feeling, right? And I think that in your beginning sexual journeys, you think it's about pleasing the other person, and you don't think about the pleasure of your own.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things to think about in the beginning stages of sex. So, I think if you're not one of self-pleasure either, then you really don't know what you're supposed to be feeling. So I think that was me in my beginning stages where I didn't know. And I really was like, what's the gas? Like, What is going on here? Like, I
Uh-huh.
don't. Okay, that just happened, but I'm gonna just fake it till I make it because I want this shit to be over at this point. Like, now this shit getting awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, eventually you kind of learn yourself and realize like, okay, that wasn't an orgasm. I didn't really
Yeah.
enjoy that much, and then you always go off for the pleasure of the person. Like, okay, as long as they did, that's all that matters. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pleased with that until you start to act, until you really have one. And then, like, okay, like, I know I can have one. I
Yeah.
just haven't had it with
Right.
the right people or people and
Mm-hmm.
you're not always going to get it with everybody. You have to learn everybody,
Mm-hmm.
you have to learn sexual things
Yeah.
with each person. It's different.
Right.
But I definitely can say that I've faked it before.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Mm-hmm.
Tragic.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. But there was also another thing that Cara Delevingne said when when they were like testing her blood while she was sexually aroused, and I don't remember the word. Do you remember that big ass word?
Oh.
Something about that we
Oh,
produce.
Stephanie talked about it in the
Yeah, I just thought that was cool. Like we produce
mm-hmm.
basically I guess like cannabis
Yeah.
within our bloodstream or like within our bodies when we're sexually aroused. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember the word, but it sounds just like it. And
It's
pretty
like
much
a
that's what it
natural. It's
says.
like a natural high or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they're like, you get tired after sex.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're like all in the clouds and
Mm-hmm.
loopy doopy and shit. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Or you like want to take a nap.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
that sense of relief, but like, yeah. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was cool. So if you know what that feels like, then you just had the time of your life, I bet.
Right.
And that's okay. That can follow with self-pleasure too. Get yourself a Rosie.
They should sponsor us at
I
this point
know, bro.
because
I
it's
know.
crazy.
I know. I know. It's like,
It's
shut up. Stop
shut
talking.
up.
Right. But it's just like, it really was well worth it.
But you gotta get the actual one
Yeah.
because there's one with like a little tongue.
Mm-hmm.
A little tongue, or I don't, it's like weird. It just looks
It
fake.
has like like something sticking out instead of the suction hole
Yeah,
in.
instead of like it actually looking like a rose.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get that one. Get like the actual one. And they used to sell it on Amazon. I don't know if they still do, but I feel like now they have like a whole website for it.
Yeah. Now it's super expensive.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm glad we got it when we did because it's crazy.
All right. All right.
All right. So the other point that what?
Go ahead. Because I like this part.
Oh. So the other point that I wanted to talk about is that the three genders. So did you know that in Oaxaca, Mexico, they have three genders?
I actually thought that was crazy, but I feel like we heard somebody discuss this one time prior to seeing this.
Yeah, I mean we had Robbie on and they talked about like two-spirited
Okay.
people, but basically in Oaxaca, Mexico, they have this third gender called Muxe, and it's spelled Muxes. So that's recognized as like a third gender, and it's really not based on like sexual identity. It's just like more about like spirituality. Um and yeah, it's pretty dope because I feel like I mean, I know that they do this in other places.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it happens like in Native American cultures and things like that. But I really want to focus on Mexico because I feel like sometimes the Hispanic community could be so against LGBTQ,
Yeah.
anything.
Right.
And they sometimes assume that these people who are mouches that they may be gay, but they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just basically how they're presenting themselves. So it's kind of like I don't know, it's different for sure. I wanna also talk about like some other things that I learned about them, but pretty much I was doing my research and it was saying that Out magazine said that the first thing most people notice about mouches is that they appear to be men dressed as women. Some have had their breasts enhanced, others have had nose jobs, but most wear long hair, dresses, and some makeup. And pretty much their role is basically to um be like that traditional caretaker where they cook, they embroider, they work as hairdressers, they complete like chores around the house, they care for children, and they care for like the elderly. And I think that's why in their culture it's just seen as, it's like seen as more respectful because you are taking care of like your loved ones, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Kind of like you're just taking on the role of like,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, that caretaking.
Yeah.
So it's that sense of nurture,
Right.
and I think that that's cool. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
serving a purpose and
Mm-hmm.
serving your family. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
For sure. Why do you think that like this is something that they don't talk about in school? Because I never heard about this till like
I never
recently.
heard of it either, and I obviously hope that those who know what we're talking about don't take any offense in case we may be wrong.
Right.
We
Of course.
don't, we're just not learning this, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously we want to put out what we learn. Um but I thought that that was cool because I would have never thought, three spirited, two spirited, like what
Mm-hmm.
the hell?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that that's awesome that people can, I like people of different culture, especially like as Spanish people too. I think like everything is that we come off or like that we think of is through spirituality
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So I think that that's cool that they see it as more of like a, you know, just an inner thing,
Mm-hmm.
not just like, oh, that surface level you're gay or that sexual
Yeah.
aspect of it. So I don't know. I think it's cool and I think it's respected. It's kind of like it's that idea of like this isn't something that I can control.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that comes from a higher,
Yeah.
you know, place,
Mm-hmm.
something more than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's actually pretty cool
Yeah.
because then I think if you're that much into the spirituality of it, then who are you to point fingers and blame and be like, well, why are you like that?
Yeah.
Like most people are like that. It
Yeah.
comes from our higher up.
Yeah, but it's just crazy because I feel like with the whole non-binary thing, like people are acting like this is something that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Right.
Like, this has been around for years, like we
Hmm.
said before, clearly. It's like a cultural thing too. It's not just a trend.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
The
I feel like
US,
when something always
the
comes
US be
out,
behind on things, I feel like.
yeah, I'm about to say, I feel like when things come out culturally and like people like actually experience all these different type of culture things
Hmm.
outside of the US,
Hmm.
I feel like they're like, whoa, I never thought about that. I never seen life through that window.
Hmm.
And then they come back and not necessarily bring it here, but I think they try to add that culture to their life. And I
Hmm.
think that that's how, I guess, so to say, we're so late to it,
Yeah.
and we're, obviously try to people like you don't just get it. It doesn't just come out of thin air. Like
Yeah, pretty
obviously it
much.
comes from somewhere. There's a background. Like we're not just making shit up.
Right. Right, from
So
thin air.
yeah, but I do think like obviously we're very much controlled.
Hmm.
Everything that we have access to social media wise, and for years we've been hindered in what we know and what we think. And I hate to say it, but I think like that's just because of the world we live in. Like being in
Hmm.
the US, they definitely get to pick and choose what we see and what we know. That was
Hmm.
like the TikTok I sent you where the guy's like, houses are not meant to be bought. Like houses are not meant for people to buy. Like
Hmm.
it's a bank thing. Like same thing with college. Like banks, hire people, created rich people created that.
Hmm.
That's not meant for people of low status and in that um poor mid range lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I do agree. Like
I mean, that's why it's called the American dream.
yeah, they're constantly selling us shit, to
Hmm.
make them that 1%,
Yeah.
richer.
But
So
I mean,
we're made fools for sure.
it's a good investment, obviously, just having a house.
Yeah, but I think
Hmm.
there's definitely ways to do it without having to put your
And
hard
they be
earned in
doing too
it.
much with the prices. That's what they do.
I'm just saying.
Hmm.
I think yes, we're very much hindered, and on what they want us to see,
Hmm.
because the very moment that you know something that they don't want you to know, Um,
Well, that's where they're trying to get rid of TikTok, I feel like.
yeah,
Because I feel like ever since TikTok came out, we have seen
I think too much.
so many like so much stuff that we don't see on other social media channels like
Yeah.
Instagram, because Instagram and Facebook obviously work together and they filter things so we don't see it.
Hmm.
So I feel like with TikTok, it's just so open. Like you learn so much about it.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a fucking dance app. That's
Hmm.
what I thought. I
Yeah.
was like, this shit's for kids.
People are actually using it for more knowledgeable
There's
things.
so many things. Like there's people who basically like go on TikTok and talk about like the news that you
Hmm.
don't see on the
Hmm.
news, like shit that actually
So
matters.
much. Yeah.
And you learn so much because they explain it in a way where you can understand it. And I feel like the media, sometimes they be making shit sound so complicated. Are you tired of conforming to the traditional .com domain website norms? Did you guys know that there is such a thing as .gay instead of .com? And not only do they provide a platform for LGBTQ plus communities to showcase their identities, but they also make the internet a safer place by banning hateful and homophobic sites.
When you register your .gay domain name, 20% of your purchase goes directly to LGBTQ plus organizations like the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation and Centerlink. And you can contribute to advancing LGBTQ plus rights by having your very own .gay domain.
Over 20,000 individuals, organizations, and even big brands like Target have already jumped on board with the .gay domain. Visit www.letschatpodcast.gay to claim your free .gay domain name for a year. Thanks to their registrar partner, porkbun.com.
Tell your friends.
Yes. You learn so much stuff from TikTok, and they're trying to get rid of it because they don't control it. And it's so funny like seeing these videos because these people really don't know how TikTok works. They really was asking him the dumbest questions ever. The CEO of TikTok, like they were just asking him the dumbest
Oh, really?
questions. Like just stop. You're embarrassing yourself. Um but yeah, I think that the reason why they don't teach us this in school is because like they just don't want us to know.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame because I feel like if you're Mexican, you should learn these things. Like they should. I don't know. I feel like school can be. There's so much things to learn, right? And we've always just learned about like the American history, which is fine. That's okay. But for people who are not from here, if you don't learn from like your parents, where else are you gonna learn? Like you're gonna have to do your own research,
Yeah.
obviously. But it's hard, like teaching yourself things isn't easy. Um, like my parents, I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican, but my mom and my stepdad taught me about which is a movie that I want to see with you, Las Mariposas in Dominican Republic, where basically they had this really crazy abusive president called Trujillo. Um, and they were like fighting against him and like his laws and things like that. And he got them killed. Like he would kill people left and right. Like and like even in the movie you just saw how people praised him. And he had like a relationship with someone who was super young. Like it was so weird.
Yeah.
Everyone had to have, I might be making this up, but everyone had to have a picture of him in their house. Like who are you, a god? Like
That's
fuck
crazy.
out of here. Fuck out of here. But yeah,
It's
he
so
was
crazy that people like really think that highly of themselves amongst everyone else.
it's
Like
giving
you really think you
it's giving
deserve that much
Hitler.
power over people, like
He
everyone?
he was like Hitler pretty much.
That's
But yeah,
scary to me.
there's like movies out there. They have a couple. I think they have one on Hulu called La Mariposas, and it's about like three sisters that I talked about. But I want you to watch it so you can learn more about like the Dominican culture and all that. But yeah, back to this. They just don't want us to learn these things at all. And what can you do?
Yeah.
But something else that I learned about the Mouches is that every November in Oaxaca, the 4 day long celebration called La Vela de las Auténticas Intrépidas Buscadoras del Peligro. I'm going to
Your face.
translate that. I'm going to translate that. The celebration of the bold seekers of danger. It takes over the streets as locals gather in honor of the members of their third gender. They got a whole holiday for them.
That's awesome.
4 days long.
That's a good time.
Tragic.
I mean, you gotta think about it. You gotta wait all year just to have those 4 days. So 4 days, well deserved. Should have
Right.
made it 7. Should have gave it a whole week.
Right. And something that someone said, and I quoted it just because I thought it was like so nice, but someone said, "Here, my people's worth is measured by their work and their contribution to their community. They are not valued by their money or for their sexual orientation. What matters is how you contribute to your community, and that way you are accepted." And that way you are accepted. Yeah, you get what I meant. But pretty much like money, who you date really doesn't matter. It's really about how you treat people,
Right.
how you treat your community, things like that. And I feel like that's something that we lack here in the US.
It's about what you got. What do you have to show? You know.
How much money you making?
Yeah.
Like I
What
feel
your
like,
house look like? Where you live? What kind of car you drive?
like we are really workaholics in the US. So I studied abroad in Barcelona for a summer while I was in school. I got a scholarship for it. And it was really an eye-opening experience. Like I feel like I definitely encourage people to do more traveling. But when you do travel, like get outside of the hotel and like go to like just visit like the community and where you are. So since I got to live there, I had to live with like a lady who would host us, and she would like cook breakfast for us. She would do our laundry. It was like I was like, wow, I never had somebody do my laundry.
Right.
And I have my own room. It was very small though, but it was fine. And my roommate also had their own room. And every day I would walk like 20 minutes to class, and I would just like just be in awe of like people. Like it's so weird, but like over here, when you go to New York and things like that, nobody stops. They still be walking. They cross the street no matter what. The light could be red, green, yellow, orange, whatever. They don't give a fuck if a car is coming. They're gonna walk. Over there, they like the people who walk have a light, and the people who are driving have a light, and they do not cross unless their light is green. Sometimes I would just keep walking because I'm like, guys, there's no cars coming. Like we could go, but I feel like their way of living is like relax. Like they would close certain shops down during the middle of the day to have a siesta, which meant that like that's like their napping time or their like chilling time where they in the middle of the day they take a break. So you're gonna have to come back later. It's like bittersweet, but it's just good for their mental health. They're not working all day. They're not working 12-hour shifts. Like they're not doing all of that we do.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
cool. It definitely gives you perspective. You know, again, seeing other people's way of living. I also saw, TikTok just be bringing shit to light. I saw a video. I sent it to you, I think, and it was like, it was some audio saying, "Oh, who are the most hardworking people?" And it was like Hispanics, and who makes the least amount of money out of all backgrounds. And they were like Hispanics, and they were like, who are the happiest? And they were like Hispanics. And it shows all the Hispanics, working hard to it out, but like at the end of the day, like happy because of, just yes, I'm not making as much money. Yes, I have to work hard just to make a living, but it's like I have my family. They find peace of mind and happiness at home, and at the fact that they're even well enough or healthy enough to work, or that they do have a job for this time where I can provide for my family. Like
You know why I think it's like that though? Well, first of all, it's annoying. Like why are Hispanics the most hardworking people, but we get paid the least? That's fucking tragic. But anyways, I feel like sometimes I feel like bad, or I feel like privileged because I know that for my parents it was really hard for them growing up.
Yeah.
So I feel like the reason why like my parents and other Hispanic people are so happy is because they left their country for really bad reasons. Like not bad reason, like good reasons, because it was just unsafe. No jobs, like no, like just no security, like and they came here and it's so much better here that to them it's like I'm living life. Like this is so good compared to what's back at home, wherever that is, if that's DR, Mexico, wherever you're coming from. Like it's like over there, it's just where they're from is so unsafe that they had to escape. Sometimes they even have to like escape with like their kids and things like that. That's hard.
Yeah.
So I feel like they have this mentality because they know what it's like to really be like in poverty.
Yeah.
And I feel like with some people here in the US sometimes like they don't know how lucky they have it. And I
Right.
always say that. We have so many resources in the US and like I'm
Why are they
like
so
my family in
gatekeeper with
DR,
it?
they don't got much. And one thing that my mom does all the time is like she'll send them clothes. So she'll fill up these like big tanks or like big boxes and she'll just put a bunch of clothes. Like all my old clothes, even JoJo's old clothes, she was like, give it to me because she was gonna send it to DR. And it's funny because when I go there and I see like the people in my community, I'm like, that looks like my shirt, but whatever. Um,
I love that because I'm like, I need to get rid of these clothes and it makes me feel better that I don't have to throw it out.
oh yeah, no,
So I'm like, all right,
you
it's
gotta
not
put.
money wasted. Like it's still
Mhm.
good clothes. And I actually be offended when I like be like, hey, you want this? Or like somebody I know, I'm like, you want it? Like, oh, that's not.
You should never throw away clothes. Like if y'all don't, y'all could send it to Salvation Army. Like y'all could drop it off in one of those things. Never throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I think about things like that, and like I grew up in DR, went to school in DR, and it's like sometimes I'm like, oh wow, we have it so good here
Hmm.
compared to other places.
Yeah. So be grateful for what you have.
Yes, be very grateful, honestly.
All right, so we're gonna give a quick family meeting. Oh
Mm-hmm.
wait, was that it? Was that the end of that?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys like this episode. If you haven't and would like to, go watch Planet Sex on
Mm-hmm.
Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got nothing else to do. Anyway, well, after you watch us, of course. Anyway, yeah, so we're gonna get into the family meeting real quick. We're gonna read this first one
Yeah.
or this one. Okay. I'm a stud that just got out of a 7-year relationship with my girlfriend a few months ago. I identify as lesbian, but sometimes I dip my toes for fun, and I recently started messing around with a male friend. I like him a lot, and the sex is amazing. Things were cool, but then we started talking every day. My fault. Okay, I guess you're saying that's her fault.
Mm-hmm.
And he broke things off because he wants a relationship while I don't want anything serious right now. I never thought I'd be in this situation. He's cool with me messing around with other girls, but I don't know what to do.
Ah, bueno. I think that he should understand that if you just got out of a 7-year relationship, of course you don't want anything serious.
Yeah, that's
It's like
facts.
not only do you have to, I don't know, it's like you got to deal with that aspect of it, and then I'm guessing that you talked about your how you identify because we need to visualize it. So what are people gonna say? Like, oh, look, she's a stud and she's with a man. Like that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Like people are definitely gonna talk shit. Like it's just the reality of it. They're gonna talk shit because when you don't see too many stud looking girls with men, you don't see too many bisexual studs. Is what I mean.
Hmm.
Not that she's bisexual, but she is messing around with a man. She had an ex-girlfriend for 7 years. But yeah, 7 years is a long time. Like you need time to heal. You need time for yourself. You need time to really reflect on what it is that you want. You need time to just reflect on your sexuality too, because obviously from dating a woman to a man, that being so used to dating a woman for 7 years to then go dating a man, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's like a lot to adjust to, really.
Yeah. I feel like when you go from dating women to a man to like a guy, it's
Mhm.
like that bro relationship,
Mhm.
especially when you're a more masculine presenting female.
Mhm.
It's like, I think it's real. I think to an extent it feels easy and more chill because you're like, you expect them as the guy as being a guy, that he's not going to give a fuck as much. It's not going to be, as many things that's going to bother him. So it's like, I don't know. I think you have this idea that it's going to be easier because he's not going to care as much. You shouldn't care as much. So it's not always going to be confrontation.
Mhm.
Um, And then I think it's where it lands you into that bro relationship type
Yeah.
thing. So it's like it's easier, feels cool, it's chilling, until you're rudely mistaken and they actually fuck with you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what?
Yeah.
If I wanted this, I'd have stayed with Shorty. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think you was gonna be the one bitching and complaining. Not
Yeah.
bitching and complaining, because I mean, their feelings are valid. There's guys who end up really sometimes fucking with you more than you would expect to mess with them. So, I mean, I agree. Like you said, 7 years, you've coming fresh out of a relationship. But I also think, what was the picture? What picture were you painting to him as well? He should have had understanding, or I would assume that you guys had that conversation previous, that I don't want anything serious, and if at any point you feel like you're feeling a little bit more, or you're wanting a little bit more, obviously it should be a conversation that you guys have, but he also has to respect the fact that you may not feel the same or may not want the same thing.
And then you also mentioned that he's cool with you like messing around with other girls.
Guys
Like
say that, and
when
I'm just like,
guys
that's
say
bullshit.
that,
That's
it's like,
bullshit.
but I feel like when guys say that, they be saying it in a cocky way, like, okay,
Like, I don't care.
like
Yeah.
a girl's definitely not gonna take you away from me. But are you cool with him talking to other girls and dating other girls? Because then it's just like an open relationship. So that's what y'all got to talk about. Because he needs to realize that if you are going to be dating other girls, that might also be like a serious thing that you might pursue, because you've dated women in the past. So it's like, he's okay with you dating other girls, but does he realize that it could be a serious thing? It's not just like a hookup. Because with girls, it's so hard to just hook up.
Mm-hmm. But I think like guys say that too, and then they really don't mean it.
Yeah, like be
Like
real.
like you said, they say it with the idea of like, all right, you ain't gonna, like, what she got on me,
Yeah.
or it's with the idea of like, all right, like maybe I can fuck with the shorty too.
I hate
But
that.
most times, I mean, at least in my experience, they really was like, oh yeah, I'm okay with it. And then when the time rolls around, they're like, yeah, nah, like I like you too much. Basically, it's like, all right, I'm fucking with you a little too heavy for you to pursue anybody, period, other than but
Yeah.
yeah, that's hard. I think, like I said, you guys sit down, have that conversation, and if he
Mm-hmm.
can't handle the same arrangement you guys got going on, then maybe you guys just need to put an end to it. And if you plan on keeping it a friendship, keep it a friendship back the way it was.
Right.
But it's really up to you and how
Right.
you
Like
feel.
don't rush yourself into another relationship just because he's ready. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Yep.
end in a disaster.
Big facts.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Last one. So I've been with my girlfriend for almost 3 years now. She's a couple years older than me. About a year into the relationship, I asked her if we would ever have kids or get married. She said yes. When we even had a best friend who agreed to be our sperm donor. I feel like we read this before.
You always say that, but
I
no,
do.
I
Okay.
don't think so.
So recently I asked her again about the kids part, and she told me she doesn't want kids and that she doesn't want to get married either. Apparently, she's never seen herself doing either of those things. I've always seen myself being a mom and having kids, so I was pretty shocked that she even said that. I don't know if I should either stay in the relationship and sacrifice something like that for love, or leave and find someone else with the same goals. I'm just not sure that I can love someone the way I love her. I know that's corny, but that's just the truth. Please help. I feel like I've heard
No,
this
we did
before, but
not read
okay.
that. No. I would have remembered.
Well, if we read this before and we're doing this again,
No,
well, guess
we
what?
did not.
I
I
feel
would
like we
remember.
did.
I
But
have a good
anyway,
memory.
I think that's a hard, sticky situation, and that scares me. I think that would scare anyone when they have this idea that they want something. I think that's hard. And I feel like if she felt like that always, then she should have just stayed with that, you know? I know that people don't believe people the first time they tell them, like, if I started dating you and you told me you didn't want kids or you didn't want marriage, and then it's like, all right, I don't agree with that, but okay, let's continue and
Mm-hmm.
see if maybe that changes. Like, let me Let me show you, or like see if I can sway you. I feel like people have to stop having that mentality that they could sway someone to be the person they want them to be. If someone doesn't want to be that way, they're not. Uh, every once in a while, it may change. You know, people
Yeah.
do have a change of heart, but that has to be on them. You know, that can't be off the strength of you swaying them or planning this idea or whatever. They should want to do that. So I think that's hard. And if she's told you that before, sometimes we got to take people for their word. But again, I do think that if your partner felt like that already, they should have continued with that instead of making this broken or, you know, false promise to you that, okay, yeah, we'll get to that someday. And then, like, you know, I feel like when you entertain the conversation, not saying that it shouldn't have been a conversation, but I feel like when you entertain it to the point where you're just like, yeah, I'm telling you things that you want to hear, so we could just let it go, and you know, or you're painting the picture that it could potentially happen, is again that false hope you're giving them, and that's kind of fucked up. So I think that she was wrong, I guess, for giving you that false hope. But if you know for sure that that's what you want, you know, marriage and family, and that's, you know, solely important to you, then I do think that, you know, that's something you have to take into consideration, is what you want more than what they want.
Yeah. I think people are allowed to change their mind, but I also feel like this is, if she said it before and then she changed her mind, then I guess that's where the confusion lies. But it's like, I don't know. That's tough. I really have no advice for that.
Just gotta go with what you want.
Yeah, for real.
You know, obviously you love her, so it's either your love for her or your potential future as a family. I don't
Yeah.
know. But maybe you guys will have a conversation again in a little bit and come up with you know, a solution to where you guys don't have to see an ending.
Yeah. Maybe she'll change her mind.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. But yeah, I wish you best of luck with that, and hope that that changes for the best for you guys.
Yeah.
All right, now.
I don't have anything else.
Sounds good.
All right, y'all. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Deuce, deuce, mother goose.